Today I'm speaking to the person who is wondering if they are experiencing narcissistic love or real love. Okay, so I'm going to share the difference between these things. And as I was thinking about what video to make today, I felt a very strong urge to make this specific video, which is interesting because there are a lot of channels on YouTube that are completely dedicated to narcissism. And if you watch those videos and those channels, I really want you to watch this video because not only will I teach you about narcissism and the difference between real love and narcissistic love, but I'm also going to teach you a little bit about yourself potentially and give you a perspective shift that could really help you if you are finding yourself going down those rabbit holes of trying to figure out if you're in a narcissistic relationship, if you're attracting narcissists, or anything to do with all of those things. Okay, so before I begin, my name is Naomi Dunn. I am an inner work coach and an EFT practitioner. I help people with emotional and trauma healing and perspective shifts based on whatever emotional situation they are currently going through. If you need help, if you need one-on-one coaching, I offer that all down below through the link in the description. Let's begin. The difference between narcissistic love and real love. Well, the thing with narcissism, we are learning so much more about narcissism now, and so a lot of people are labeling people as narcissists because we are learning more about the traits. Now, it seems like there are a lot more narcissists than there were before, and I can't say the facts. I don't know if there were more narcissists, but we are learning so much more, which is great. It's great. Knowledge is power. It's great to have the information, but there is one thing I really need you to understand before I get into the points, and that is that it's actually really common for people to have narcissistic traits, but it doesn't mean that that person is a narcissist, okay? So you yourself may have narcissistic traits, but that doesn't necessarily mean you are a narcissist, okay? And the reason this is because narcissism actually stems from deep-rooted, I mean very deep-rooted insecurity. A lot of us walking around are insecure and we act from that insecurity in different ways, which can show up as narcissistic traits. The biggest thing with narcissism is that narcissists cannot experience empathy. I have to say this one right off the bat because that eliminates a lot, okay? So if you're starting to question if somebody is a narcissist, you will have to ask yourself, can they empathize with you? Do you see genuine empathy in them? Okay, so there's obviously people who experience fake empathy, but have you seen genuine empathy in this person? So when it comes to love, real love, there will be empathy. This doesn't mean you need to go around sharing your victim stories to see if the person has empathy, but observe. Does the person empathize with you if something bad happens, or does the person empathize with other people? So yes, that will rule out a lot for you if you can question whether the person empathizes or not. The next thing that I want you to question is how the relationship actually began. We all know that love bombing exists, okay? Love bombing is when we receive love in excess by the other person, but it's a bomb, it's extreme, and then it fades away and then you see the true nature of the person. The first thing I want to say about love bombing is, of course, there are people out there, especially men in their healthy masculine energy, when they are trying to attract or trying to date somebody, they will do a lot. They will show a lot of love. And sometimes that simmers down a little bit as the relationship goes on. That's natural, okay? Love bombing is more extreme, and love bombing is it blows up in your face with love. You assume that this person is your soulmate. You assume that this person is perfect, and it dissipates and simmers down, but so much to the point where you see the real character and you start to realize that everything that was happening then was an agenda and it wasn't real. Okay, so it simmers naturally in regular relationships because there's excitement and heightened emotions at the beginning, but that doesn't mean when someone shows a lot of love and it slightly simmers that they're love bombing you, okay? This doesn't mean for you to necessarily stray away from people who do a lot in the beginning, because some people are genuinely big lovers, but if you do notice a person doing things in excess, question a little bit. Question the authenticity of it. Try to see if this is the true nature of the person. Listen to your intuition. Your intuition always knows before the relationship even begins if this is genuine from them or not, okay? And you will see, time will tell. You can sense that they are somebody who is in their healthy masculine energy, realizing that showing a little bit more care and love and desire to chase you will be natural for the man at the same time. So we have to know the difference between that and love bombing. I want for you to see that there is consistency and there is not some hidden agenda, okay? So we want to see the best in people, of course, but we want to be cautious. Is there hidden agenda behind the actions of the person in the beginning stages? The next thing about the beginning of relationships that can indicate narcissistic love is that it can often begin with the person sharing their victim story. And the reason that this happens is because a narcissist is trying to find its prey. And the prey in this situation will be somebody who can empathize with them to the point where they think that they can fix them, that they think that the person will change. So if somebody is starting a relationship right off the bat, sharing details about their life and their sad story very early on, whether they are a narcissist or not, this is something to really look out for, okay? Whether they're a narcissist or not, like I said, because there is usually intention behind somebody who shares their sad story right off the bat. There is intention behind this, and it is not usually natural for somebody to share their story in this way when they don't know the person that well. And some people have that type of personality. That's fine. That's when we have to question the authenticity. But this is really common because, like I said, the narcissist is trying to find the person who has enough empathy to feel attachment, because those who are maybe borderline codependent, who have the anxious attachment style, will actually feel attachment to those with the victim story, because those with the victim story and their mentality is somebody that they can fix, and that is a deep craving for those who are experiencing anxious attachment. They will actually crave people who have that story, who have the victim story, because they deep down want to fix them. And so knowing this, the narcissist will seek out those who want to fix people. And so this is why it's essential to realize that just because somebody hates themselves doesn't mean it's your job to make them love themselves. And the third point I'm giving you is everything to do with a narcissist in the relationship is about themselves. At the end of the day, what the narcissist is trying to do is they're trying to get from you, they're trying to suck from you the feeling of worth within themselves, okay? Know this. When you know this, you can now see it. Look behind the actions and the true agendas. Question, is everything centered around themselves? And of course, real love is going to be different. There needs to be consideration on both ends, and you will see this in healthy relationships. So this self-centeredness, what I want to share with you is that when people experience their first relationship, okay, there is a tendency for there to be a little bit more self-centeredness and selfishness within people who are experiencing relationships for the first time. We are humans. Humans want gratification. Humans want to take the easy path. Humans want to feel the things that make them feel good. Being selfless in relationships does not always feel good. So when people experience their first relationships, there is a tendency for a little bit of self-centeredness to show up, because the realization of how much selflessness is required for relationships hasn't always clicked for people when they're just beginning in their first relationships. That being said, it is not excusable for somebody to be self-centered in a relationship all of the time. The way that we realize whether this is self-centeredness that stems from human nature or narcissism is when you bring up the problem to the other person. If you bring up the problem to the person who is healthy and not a narcissist, they will desire to change. That being said, human nature, sometimes our ego kicks in when we hear the problems about ourselves, if there is some insecurity within us. That can be okay as long as the person at least comes back and says, I heard you, I'm willing to change, and then you visibly see the change in front of your eyes. The most important thing here is that the person that you are in a relationship has the desire to grow, the desire to better themselves, and the desire to better the relationship as a whole. That is one of the most important traits, especially if you're looking for long-term. If you're looking for the partner who you want to help you raise your children with, you're looking for the person, hopefully, who is willing to grow, because that eliminates 1,000,002 problems to come. If you can visibly see the change in front of your eyes when you mention a problem and they say they're willing to change, That is not narcissistic love. A narcissist will do one of two things. They will say, yes, honey, I will change. And they do not change ever. Everything centers back to themselves. Okay? Or two, they gaslight you to make you feel like you are the problem for even mentioning the problem in the first place, that it was never a real problem to begin with, and that you should never said anything at all. So that's how we tell if self-centeredness is stemming from narcissism or from the reality of being a human. Those are my 3 main points for you. The perspective shift I mentioned in the beginning of this video, I'm going to speak on that now. The first thing I want to say right off the bat is that every single thing that I say on this channel is out of genuine love for you to better your life. Okay, it's never to bring the blame game to yourself. It is never to feel bad about yourself. It is just to at times bring enough self-awareness so your life can improve, okay? It's really common because it comes with benefits for people to become slightly addicted to learning more about narcissism and about how they experience narcissistic abuse, and to receive validation from these videos and these books and these podcasts. It's really common for people to get a slight addiction to watching content that are all to do with narcissism, okay? There are really high numbers of subscribers subscribed to these main channels that speak only on narcissism, and I guarantee you that most of those people that are subscribed not because they actually want to overcome the abuse, but they want to stay in the identity of somebody who has experienced the abuse. The reason I need to mention this is because I need you to realize that your peace is 1,000,000 times more beneficial for you in your life than the temporary relief you get from validation. There is a difference between watching videos for the sake of validation and receiving that little high, which is normal, which is natural, but we need to become aware of it because, like I said, your peace is more powerful, more beneficial for your life than that validation. There is a difference between watching and seeking out these videos for the sake of validation versus for the sake of making sure that we never experience that same abuse again. Making sure that we have the knowledge to identify and make sure that you never get put in that same position of narcissistic abuse again. Please take this information to become so self-aware that you never allow yourself to be put in that position again. Please take the information you learn in these videos, if you continue to watch them, to heal from the past so that you get to have more peace moving forward. Because if we do things for the sake of validating the fact that we have experienced narcissistic abuse and that becomes a subtle addiction, what will happen is, because we are seeking out the validation of this narcissistic abuse, we will subconsciously seek out that narcissistic abuse in our world so that we continue to feed the addiction of seeking out the validation. There is nothing wrong with validation. It's very likely if you are in this position, it is because you didn't receive enough validation from the past. But this is something that's so highly important to work through and to work on and to give yourself so that you don't continuously try to seek out validation instead of seeking peace. Sometimes we simply have the identity of somebody who experiences abuse because of all the pains from our past, and the ego wants to stay in that identity, so it keeps you stuck by attracting and continuing with partners who are narcissistic. We have to get out of these identities. We have to realize these identities don't serve us anymore. Sometimes our worth is so low that we feel this need to prove to ourselves how low our worth really is subconsciously by watching these videos and getting this validation that we experienced the abuse, and that means we are unworthy. I'm going to be real. If you find yourself continuously watching these videos, you have to question, is your life actually getting better? Anytime you learn anything, especially to do with psychology, I need you to please, even if it's not to do with narcissism, everything I speak on this channel is to better your life, not just to give you more knowledge. Ask yourself, are you just gaining more knowledge, and is your life actually getting better? Because if it's not, if you're watching hundreds of videos on one specific topic and your life hasn't gotten better in that area, then you're not watching those videos to actually improve. You're watching them for a different underlying reason. You can move past that identity now. You can now move forward. It doesn't matter how many years it's been in the past. So please, for yourself, If you've never loved yourself before, practice it today by bringing awareness to the true reason why you are potentially seeking out this information. But please understand, this is out of love, everything that I say on this channel. If you need any help additionally to this video, like I said, I offer one-on-one coaching. I'm going to post a video on the screen that is how to overcome a toxic relationship. I want you to overcome, not stay stuck, to have a better life. Okay, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time.